So I just want to do a lesson teaching some of the concepts of what I'm using to play 24 goldns, or my small arrangement of 24 golden song mood. I think it's a fun song to jam along to, just because I think it teaches some important concepts as it relates to scales and chord scale relation and theory and stuff, and just kind of helps reinforce some common things used in R&B, jazz, blues, stuff like that. And so I think it's kind of just a fun thing to play and learn. It kind of goes along with that whole Jimi Hendrix, John Frusciante style of playing, which is using chords but embellishing around them and kind of embellishing around the melody to make it sound full, I guess. A couple ways that I'm not going to go through and go note by note through scale positions and things like that, because hopefully that's something either that you know or are practicing. I'll include a link or some pictures of the scales I'm talking about. But anyways, so the song is in the key of B flat major, or you can think of what its relative minor is G minor. So the chord progression is, give me a second chord progression is E flat, if I can think. Chord progression is E flat, which is, I like to think of these in Roman numerals as well. The key of B flat major is anyways, I can't think, just because B flat isn't a very common key I play. Usually I tune my guitar flat, and I'll think of this in the key of, I don't know, I'd have to tune it and see. A lot of things I'll just kind of sit and figure out what the key is by ear and just kind of play it that way. But at any rate, the chord progression is E flat major, which is the 4 chord of the key of B flat major. B flat major, I'm playing like this in this position. E flat, I'm kind of playing right here, and I'll kind of show you why in a minute. G minor, right here, and F right here. This is just kind of one of the sections and one of the scale positions that I play these chords in, but that's kind of where they are in this instance. And so putting it together, I like to think of different chord shapes that I'm playing. It kind of goes back to the whole caged theory of knowing chords and scales, which I would encourage you to look up and kind of learn. But it's basically the whole concept that chords on the guitar can be moved. And so playing a G, you can play that same type of a chord in B flat major, kind of like this, for example. The second scale position I use is down here. I like to think of it almost as like the second. It's the second main scale position of this that I use. Anyways, the reason being is the 6th chord, or the natural minor, G minor, is right here. It's kind of like this. So there's all sorts of fun things you can do to embellish that chord, and also other chords that we're using are in that same area as well. So our E flat is kind of like right here. You can kind of play it as, that might be major 7 or 6 or whatever. I'm not quite sure, but our B flat major, you can play it right here. The intonation's a little messed up. G minor right here, and then our B, or our F, we play like this, kind of how we played that B flat up here, kind of going back to the whole caged thing. Or you could play it right here, which, depending on the part of the song, I'll play it right here as well. And so where this all kind of fits together is using that scale shape and those chord shapes kind of together to embellish and kind of lead these chords into each other. And so for one of the sections, I'll kind of just play it. It's good. And so if you kind of go back to those chord shapes I showed you, B flat, G minor, F, or you can even play F like this, which is really just the shape of a C chord. You can think of moving it up like this. You're just barring kind of right over here. Anyways, so kind of going through, you can, for embellishing, you kind of think of playing those chords, and also I kind of visualize what that scale is right here. So I visualize the whole. It's also helpful to learn like what the notes of the scale are, the scale degrees, and how they kind of relate to the chords. I mean, you can spend some time doing that if you'd like. But playing this song, what I do is I play my E flat right here in the scale position. So it's that kind of triad thing. And you can also kind of just hammer on, pull off, embellish, which is kind of a common thing to do in this song and a lot of R&B songs. So hammering onto that E flat, and then just kind of walking up the scale up to my B flat. And then you can play another triad of B flat is found in this part of the scale right here. Because that sounds, the same notes, just a different place to play them. And so in our case, we're going to have our B flat and the bass right here, and barring across these strings, and then hammering off, and just kind of embellishing, walking up the scale, because our next chord, or G minor, play like that, which is using, if you may notice that the natural minor and the 6 and the 1 of a key, they share a lot of the same notes. Essentially, I like to think of music theory in the key of C, so bear with me. A C major chord, C, E, G chords, they stack by thirds. An A minor chord would be A, C, E. Now you can already kind of see how it already has a first and a third of a C chord, C, E, but now it has the added A. And so if you play a full, if you just played A minor 7, you can also think of it as a C6. And so the takeaway from this is if you play kind of the same similar notes as a 1 chord, or a 6 chord, you can use them almost interchangeably. And so if I'm playing these 3 notes right here, and in the song, if it's the 1 or the 6, it's going to sound fine. The same, because they're similar notes, if that makes sense. Anyways, and so kind of going back to this, we had our and so that kind of outlines a lot of the chords that we're doing. E, B, G, and then we're going to slide up, which is a little bit outside that scale position I told you about. It's just a bit of an extension. If you actually learn the scale, you'll know that there's whole middle sections that between these 2 parts. I just like to point them out because these are the main areas in playing these chords. But sliding down to the F, which is the 5 of our key that we're in, which I like to point out what chord numbers these are, because you can take these concepts and put them to other songs in different keys. It kind of goes back to the whole cage system as well. Just everything you play on guitar, you can play the same thing, just move it up or down the neck depending on what key you're in. Anyways, so F, I like to put a little embellishment, kind of that little part of the scale because it's just kind of goes right like this. And so when you know you have your F chord right here again, so it's a 5 chord in and of itself is a leading tone chord. It wants to go to the 1 or the 6 because if you remember the 1 and the 6, they're similar. The 6 will just have more of a minor sound to it. And so, if you have that F, the 5, going back to a B, it resolves. Or that same F, going back to a 6, a G minor. It resolves, it just resolves it differently. So, again, going back to the riff. So I'm just taking those chords and I like to practice what the rhythm would be. Because once you get the rhythm down, you can add some of those other embellishments. So I'm just kind of strumming like I would, but just kind of accenting the notes I'm playing while kind of muting. So that's kind of how you get that sound. And so I think that's a lot of fun to play just because it kind of teaches that whole, like I said, Jimi Hendrix, John Frusciante kind of little wing type embellishment playing. The second scale position I use down here, which I kind of went over earlier. So our G minor 6 chord is here, but like I said, you can interchange the 6 and the 1 for kind of a similar kind of sound. In R&B, I kind of noticed a lot with playing is kind of use that. It has more of like a major 7, major 6 type kind of almost jazzy sound. So you can almost think of the 6th chord as your 1 in this instance. So your B flat major. So you have your G minor and your B flat major kind of in the same position. So that's kind of why it's a nice position to be in. And E flat in this case, you could play it like this. Is how I'll commonly play it. So you can, shorten that up. And so you can use all of it, parts of it. It doesn't, it's whatever fits how you want to play it. And then so our E flat, B flat, G minor, F, or you can play F here. So the riff itself. And so it sounds like you're just kind of playing a bunch of not necessarily nonsense, but just notes. But there's a rhyme and a reason for it. So so you're using the 1 chord, which is technically a G minor, but like I said, you can interchange. And so you have your 1 chord, you're kind of just hammering on and embellishing with the rhythm. So, and then I think those are fun. They sound, I don't know, they give it like a certain style to our B flat, and then G, and then F, or you could play F up here. What I noticed too is a lot of the stuff that you're playing, it's not necessarily the notes, but it's the rhythm. Because you could be using the same notes, but depending on the rhythm, it's going to sound differently. But you can use that for two different chords, basically. And so when you're playing this stuff, you're not just playing random notes out of a scale, you're trying to think chord-wise, like where are my chords? And so I feel like if you practice this kind of technique along with your playing and regularly playing scales and learning different chord shapes, it's trying to think where are my chords, and kind of almost thinking about embellishing over chords when you're playing lead lines as well. It's going to kind of give you more of a unique musical sound. And so that even kind of goes back to, you know, playing some lead stuff, like out of the scale position, you know. Because if you know where you're going musically, it's a lot, you can come up with some more creative ideas if you have a roadmap in your head. And then also the main line of the song, which is easy enough, but it's tricky in the sense of just getting the rhythm down. So it's this kind of interval thing. Pull back to here, back, slid up to this kind of interval. Not to think about it. And then the next part. No. It's trickier than it looks. So. And so this one, it's split up to here, which goes to your 5, F. So again. So this kind of goes to your E flat, which is kind of interval is, down to your B flat, which is kind of this. If this looks familiar, it's our G minor or B flat major chord, and then this would be our F. It's just kind of a walk down leading up to our actual F chord here. And so I just kind of put it together with a rhythm. And so I don't know, it might not be perfect, but I don't think that's the point of this song, really. I think that the star riff of this song is a lot of fun to play when you like learn how to do that kind of stuff, because you don't necessarily have to play this song. You can add that to anything that you're playing, you know. So to back up, using 2 scale positions for this song. The song is in B flat, no, B flat major, G minor. That scale position with also this, with the chords, E flat, E flat, G minor, F. And so the big thing with this is just practicing your chords. Sit there and just play arpeggios up and down. It's just a good way to, it's annoying, but it's a good way to just kind of learn where your notes are. So, E flat. You're playing your B up here. It's a little unconventional because you're just really borrowing these strings and playing this note up top here with your pinky. But really it's because it's it's easier than playing it like this. This is how commonly I see people will play this kind of chord or sound. This feels awkward to me. I like going and just catching the root note up here with my pinky. And maybe up here is a little bit better. But up here, like when it gets higher up the neck, it's easier to sliding up to our 5. And the next part, the scale position. With our 1/6, you know, our 4, E flat in this case, which I think is helpful because to know, because I mean, they sound cool in their own right. The 1, which is it's kind of the same thing as up here. I'm just catching the bass note with my pinky. And then the 5, or here. So you could do. It all depends where you want to go. So anyways, hope you found this helpful. If you like it, I might just keep doing more videos like this. But anyways.